Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get us started, but certainly continue to use the chat to provide introductions. This is our way of helping to create a sense of community. Community is so important to the MBA program, and so we want to model that here as well. I am Dr. Nika White. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I serve as the founder and lead principal consultant for NWC, Nika White Consulting. We are a management consulting firm that intersects the work of diversity, equity, and inclusion with leadership and business, working with all types of clients, different industries, different sizes, private, public sector. But today I am here in the capacity of the senior advisor to the Greenville Chamber's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion initiatives. And as part of that, I also get the privilege and honor of serving as program administrator for the Minority Business Accelerator. And I am very excited to welcome each of you here today. We've been expecting you. We've put a lot of preparation into today's interest meeting, and we do this every year. It's not always virtual, as you can imagine, but for the past couple of years it has been. But this is our way of helping to share more in-depth information about the MBA experience, particularly during our recruitment period, so that for those who are business owners can have a deeper dive understanding of what the program is about, what you can expect, what are the requirements. And so we hope that today will certainly help provide the clarity that may be needed for some of you that are on the fence about, should I apply? Is this for me? Should I wait a couple years? Whatever it is, we hope that you will walk away from today feeling better equipped to make that decision for yourself. And we will actually go ahead and get started. Back to sharing my screen, and I want to just open briefly with giving you a little bit of information about what you can expect as it relates to the Minority Business Accelerator program. Give me just a second to get back there. So first, for those of you who have not yet had a chance to learn at least a high-level understanding of what MBA is all about, is where we take high-potential minority-owned firms and we put them through an ecosystem where they're receiving targeted training, technical assistance. We help connect them with key procurement leaders for potential contract opportunities. It's a very robust curriculum that is leveraged, but it's all about helping business leaders to stop working in their business and to become the true CEOs and working on the business so that they can scale, build capacity, and compete effectively in the marketplace. That is the ultimate goal. And so while we realize that each of you here today are here learning about the MBA program, what I want you to know is that when you apply, you're also being vetted for Entrepreneurial Pathways, which is an MBA feeder program. You're going to hear a lot more about that today as well. But one big excitement that we are really bracing ourselves for, because we have been at this for quite some time, is that the Minority Business Accelerator program, while it was initially just within the Greenville Chamber in terms of South Carolina, we are now taking this statewide due to an incredible and generous grant from Bank of America. So if any of you know the folks at Bank of America, make sure that you're always establishing some type of appreciation for them just by thanking them. So that allows us to not only be able to make this available to individuals within the upstate, but also in Columbia and in Charleston. And that's through a partnership with the Columbia Chamber and the Charleston Chamber. So that's why today you've been able to hear a little bit from those who are part of those markets. So we're super excited that that is a part of what's going to take place in 2022, which, by the way, will be our 10th year of offering Minority Business Accelerator. I want to now share a video that I believe is going to help crystallize a little bit of what the program is about. You're going to be able to hear from different influencers and stakeholders that have been affiliated with the MBA ecosystem, and then we'll come back and forge ahead. The MBA program, this is where we take high potential, ethnic minority-owned firms, women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, and even businesses that operate in low to moderate income communities. And we put them through this ecosystem where they're receiving targeted training, technical assistance. We help them build capacity and scale to size, all so that they can compete more effectively in the marketplace. The impact has been tremendous. Now, let's hear from our participants and what they had to say about their MBA experience.
So my takeaway is that I am not a hobbyist, but a business owner, and that my business can make a profit and I can still enjoy doing what I love to do. I'm very grateful for the instructors. They did not judge us. they guided us, and they understood where we were coming from.
Learned how important it is to manage by the numbers, keeping track of numbers, and that was one of the main points that was stressed over and over and over again is financials, numbers. Learned the importance of strategic planning as well. It is important to implement SMART goals. I've learned to push myself and think on a bigger scale, learn to be more detailed and specific in my planning for the future.
My biggest takeaway from the MBA program was the financial aspect. Going into finances in depth, line by line, a P&L, understanding all the different aspects of it, your KPIs, all the things you need to know to run a healthy business.
Biggest changes are, one, managing by the numbers. The entrepreneurial scorecard is real. So I am working on improving my monitoring of what I'm doing for that particular hour and making sure that that task is above a certain dollar amount. Sometimes I get caught up in administration and trying to do everything for the business when I should be outsourcing that and focusing on the task that really brings in the most value to the business, which is prospecting and creating content at scale so I can prospect at scale and get more business inside of these gyms.
I have incorporated Paychecks, which is a payroll system, so that payroll is easier on me and their staff, and my staff can receive direct deposit bi-weekly. Understanding of what services bring me in the most profits. Take time to analyze the data and use it to my advantage for my company growth. Just like I said, I was so head down into my business, doing services, working day in and day out, that I wasn't really taking the time to understand what do my numbers mean.
We implemented a transportation management system called Select Us, which is used by all our staff, which has been a very important piece. And again, it's going to help to manage the scaling of our business.
So for me, with the MBA program, the biggest takeaway was learning to look at all the services we do and boil it down to the ones that are really the money makers and concentrate on those.
So what were the lessons learned during this program? First, commerce. You have to understand your numbers. You have to manage your business by the numbers. We were managing as a hobby. We were working as if we were not aware of the value that we provided until we understood what our bottom line was, what our numbers were. Don't be afraid to embrace your numbers and manage your business by your numbers.
When I came in, I had profits, but they were not substantial. So being able to understand my profit margin helped me to make better profits this year. And I saw an increase of 1,000% in my profits. It's just a great testament to what the MBA program was able to do for me.
Okay, so I want to just update you on a couple stats that that video was actually produced a couple years ago. So I want to update you on some stats that were shared because we're really proud of the success stories that have been realized as a result of some activity that's attributable to the MBA program. So the video said 23 million. We are now at 26 million in contracts and new revenue that has been awarded to members of the MBA portfolio of companies throughout the years since inception of 2013. In addition to that, we have been able to realize more than 250 full-time employment opportunities that have been created as a result of, again, these companies being able to build and grow and scale and build capacity. And so it's creating a tremendous economic positive impact in terms of job creations, but it's also allowing these business owners to, again, be able just to flourish and to thrive and to take their businesses to the next level, which we think is pretty impressive. Since the inception of the program, we have graduated approximately 150 participants to the program. And as I mentioned earlier, 2022 is going to be the 10th year. So you have an opportunity to be a part of the 10th cohort, which is incredibly exciting to each of us. So I want to spend some time talking a little bit about the South Carolina MBA service model. And this is going to help you get a better, deeper dive understanding of what all is contained within this MBA program. The first thing that I'll share with you is that the program is 12 months. It's on a calendar year, so we are kicking off in January, going through the end of the year. And there's several different components that are contained within this 12-month experience. The first thing is we have partnered with a wonderful organization that's based out of Boston, and we leverage their curriculum as well as other best practices to help facilitate and execute a program of this nature. That group is called, or the curriculum rather, is called Interrise Streetwise MBA, and it is almost just like getting an entrepreneur MBA just in a condensed period of time, but it's so robust. We spent a lot of time looking across so many different curriculum models, and we landed on this one actually several years ago, and it was a game changer for the program. So we're super excited to have representatives here today, and you'll hear from them in just a moment. But we're also excited that the partnership continues, not just by way of allowing us to leverage the curriculum, but by way of providing ongoing hands-on support throughout the entire year. Through that curriculum, you also will find opportunities to, when you're part of the cohort, to then be placed into smaller CEO peer mentoring groups, and that creates a strong sense of community, as well as an opportunity for live case studies. This curriculum is very big on not just bringing hypothetical scenarios to the equation, but let's deal with real life, real scenarios. And I think that has had a tremendous value on the experience for all of those that have been a part of past cohorts. One of the key deliverables is a 3-year strategic growth action plan. We affectionately refer to it as the SGAP, Strategic Growth Action Plan. And it's a wonderful opportunity for members of the cohort to really get hyper-focused on what are your goals, what are those action items to reach those goals. And then they will present it not only to their peers, but also to different business community leaders that are there to really just help ask the hard questions, present some great intel and information that allows those business leaders to think more intently about how can I refine this to make sure that I'm optimizing. We also make sure that we do business assessments at the start of the program, and this is to help us to really just get level set on where the business is. You know, each person is at a different stage within their business life cycle. We want to understand what stage are you at when you enter the MBA experience. That also helps us to have a bit more institutional knowledge about your business model, your organization, your product service offerings, and your goals. And so that business assessment is really key. We have individual coach and financial experts that are also associated with the ecosystem for MBA. And that coach walks shoulder to shoulder with its participant that is paired with to help ensure that they are reaching the goals that they set out to accomplish through the program. You'll hear more about the coaching aspect from Beth Veach momentarily, as well as more about the financial expert side of it. But it's really important that we make sure that our participants are well-versed on the financial side of running a business and managing a business. We also provide technical assistance, and that can look like a myriad of things. Sometimes people are just looking for connection points. Sometimes they're looking for resources for different services that they know they're going to want and need to help take their business to the next level. We also coordinate pitch sessions with different corporations and government organizations, and that is to help, again, from an exposure perspective, for those organizations to know who our participants are or our graduates are, what product and service offerings do they have available so that they can be in the consideration set. Oftentimes it's all about your network. So the introductions and referrals become really important to this overall experience. We do have also leadership sessions where we bring back our MBA graduates and others that are, have on their trajectory to be a part of the MBA program. And so there's different opportunities for us to extend the ecosystem beyond just those who are part of the current year's cohort to make sure that, again, we're building a pipeline, that we are engaging all of our alumni and other stakeholders that have yielded some of their time, talents to make this program successful. Many of those folks end up coming back as a graduate and then serving as coaches, ambassadors, investors, advisors, but just staying engaged in the MBA ecosystem in different capacities. So you've heard me mention Interrise. And so at this time, I would like to turn it over to Bernard Johnson, who you were able to hear from briefly just a moment ago when we were doing our introductions. But I want him to also just share some greetings and remarks related to Interrise and to give you a better understanding of how the partnership with the Greenville Chamber also allows the cohort members to have a network of people all across the country just because of the Interrise connection. So Bernard.
Thank you so much, Nika. Appreciate you. And this is exciting because, I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the screen. I look up in the left-hand corner and I see South Carolina Minority Business Accelerator. So I'll tell a very quick story. I had the pleasure of meeting Nika a number of years ago, and her innovation around really creating a flagship program is generated in one very basic principle. And that is all of this work that you all are about to embark on is with intentional design to ensure that you have a competitive advantage. That's the greatest way for you all to think about this, because when I think about the alumni, and many of them have sat in your seat, some have come, I think this might be the first one in a long time. Mackenzie's not here, kind of giving her own testimony. She's an alumni of the program. But what I would say is that they do a great job, meaning the chamber, of just never unplugging and never allowing this really large and vast alumni to disconnect. Beth is here, she's amazing, and you'll hear from her later, and Wendell as well. It's like a family. And so Interrise, in the part that we play, we are a national organization headquartered in Boston. And for almost 20 years, we have been working intentionally on designing, refining, improving a curriculum that is geared towards working with minority-owned businesses and ensuring that you have the right tools, the right curriculum, and the capacity for growth. And again, with us partnering with the Chamber, it is a mission-oriented focus on making sure that you business owners have the correct toolboxes, the right amount of time, and the right space to be able to work, on and not just in the business. And really, that's how you unlock capacity building. On a national level, this program is offered in 85 different markets, although the model in Greenville is one of one still to this day. We've been partnering together now for a number of years, but our program has afforded us a really great opportunity to have a vast alumni network that's national. And so as this program gets built out across South Carolina, there will be a large network of businesses in and around South Carolina who have gone through the MBA program. But on a national level, you as a member of this network, when you upload or enroll into Interrise Connect, you are going to be in a space where there will be a large amount of graduates from New York, from California, from Chicago, Dallas, Texas, who have all taken the same curriculum that you have. And we have a bunch of really interesting features in that you can ask literally a question of an expert outside of this market. You can look to collaborate with another business owner. You can read and see profiles. All of it is about, again, ensuring that you as a business owner get what you need at the right time to be able to grow, leverage, and maximize your opportunity. It's all about access. And so this program not just affords you a competitive advantage locally, but also gives you access to a really large and ever-growing network nationally. And Interrise, and I'll end here. I don't know if my colleague Tanisha is able to add some too, but what I will say is that on average, business owners who finish this program, they're going to increase their revenues, regardless of who they are and kind of where they come from a demographic. However, minority-owned businesses that graduate from this program, they're going to grow on average by about 37%. So when Nika's showing you all that access to procurement opportunities and, the creation of FTEs, what we're really talking about is doing our part to solve the wealth gap challenge that we know exists in and around America. And so as a minority business owner, that 37% number, that's something that you can shoot towards. We did see in the video that someone grew by 1,000%, which is just remarkable, okay? Aim for that 1,000%, but know that on average, 37% growth is not anything to be ashamed about. And so I'll end by saying we are really excited to see another amazing cohort here in Greenville. The alumni network here is one of the best, as I mentioned, in terms of staying connected. So as you get engaged in this program, Also keep in mind that your local and soon to be statewide network is also rooting and pulling for you as well. So thank you, Nika, for having Enterprise here. We're excited, enthusiastic, and I can't wait, hopefully at some point in time, to meet these business owners once again in person. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to place the spotlight on Tanisha Danburyville, also part of Enterprise, just to give her a chance to share maybe any additional information, perhaps that Bernard, you did not touch on. But again, a rising tide lifts all boats. And so the network is not just here in the upstate, but it's also going to be soon across the entire state. And then, of course, now much further extended as well. So Tanisha, is there anything that you would like to add? Thank you for being here.
Thank you. You know, honestly, Bernard, you covered that really well. I was like, yep, he got all the points that I had in my mind. I would just say, practically speaking, I know that that the chambers are going to do a really great job at, you know, making sure you all stay connected after you finish that 12 months. But Enterprise does that as well through the Enterprise Connect platform. So you will always have access to the network through that platform. I know we talked about it. It's something you'll engage with during the curriculum, but you'll always have access to that network even afterwards. So just making that very clear, we're sticking with you to the end.
Great, thanks so much. So now what I want to do is transition us, and we're going to talk a little bit further about the Enterprise curriculum, but we cannot do that without you all knowing a little bit more about our wonderful Enterprise Streetwise MBA instructor that we have had the fortune within the upstate to have as part of this ecosystem. He's making a tremendous difference, and we really appreciate his partnership and excited that he's not only going to be the instructor for the upstate for the 3rd year going into 2022, but also the state instructor for the inaugural year of the launch for both the Charleston and the Columbia Chamber. And so, Wendell, please share with us, give us more about your background, the lens that you bring and you show up to this body of work so they can know all of your accolades and your credentials, and then let them know how tough you're going to be on them. No.
Hey, everybody. I'm excited. I'm so excited. We're about to get this thing up and running again. It is the highlight of my year. I absolutely enjoy what I do. I am a teacher at heart. I'm certified through the Kauffman Foundation as a certified entrepreneurial coach, and I'm so grateful to have been brought into this partnership with the Chamber and with Enterprise. I own the Wendell Jones Leadership Institute. We focus on entrepreneurial training, management development for some companies around town. I also have I got a couple businesses out there, but that's not important. I want to be here with you guys and talk about this wonderful curriculum that I have the privilege of walking you through. Listen, we've got some slides here, and I'm going to touch on some of those things, but let me say this before we talk about the slide. I am a serious advocate for this curriculum, and let me tell you why. I think the curriculum was truly tested during the pandemic. It truly was. Because my first year as a coach, midway through it, here comes Corona. And so we saw the panic in the eyes of our entrepreneurs. I'm sure as many of you felt as well. But this curriculum proved itself. It proved itself to be what I would call transcendent, meaning that it's bigger. It was bigger than some of the challenges that they were facing. And here's the proof in the pudding. That particular class 2 years ago, a majority of them actually did better during the pandemic. They hunkered down and they really began to the seriousness of what's going on in our economy, and made them really hunker down and focus on the application of the principles. And they reaped some serious rewards for that. And this past group did the same thing. So I'm excited about this. What this program is designed to do, guys, is for those of you who have made up in your mind that you're ready to be a CEO and not just an employee of your company. As Nika said earlier, many of us get sucked into being in the business and not working on the business. This program gives you the discipline, the tools, and the systems. So Greenville, Columbia, Charleston, you're going to hear me say that word so much, because the systems, that's what's going to set you apart and give you that competitive advantage that Bernard spoke of earlier. It is, as you can see on the slide, is an iterative process. What does that mean in layman's terms? It's 2 steps forward and 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And why do we do that? We're trying to normalize that for you. because that's what it's going to take to be a good CEO. You're going to make progress, but you got to back up a little bit to make some adjustments and apply new information and new wisdom. We want you to get in the habit of doing that so that you can begin to scale your business. What this program wants to do, yes, it wants to help you grow your business, want you to be successful, want you to achieve wealth for your family, but there's another huge component to this. We are asking you to be catalysts in the community. One of the big points, and Nika's going to show you this in a little bit, what we really are proud of is that as you grow your business, you get to employ people. We want you get to actually improve your community, and you get to employ them at a livable wage, livable earnings. This is you really get to impact people's lives. So that's one of the things that this capacity building program wants you to do. What's on the next slide, Nika? And so the modules is consistent of these modules. We're going to walk you through all these wonderful things that you've got to learn. We're going to start off with one of my favorites, and that's dealing with goal setting. How important goal setting is. It's foundational. You got to figure out, you're going to hear me push you and push you and push you to figure out what you want as an individual out of this business. Because I am an advocate, and I strongly believe that if you don't get what you want, you're not going to be motivated to build this business. And then we're going to teach you how to make these SMART goals, these goals that you can test and monitor consistently. And then we're going to get over into the financial side of things. It normally intimidates most people, and I understand that. But we're going to help you out in Greenville. We're going to put you through a financial boot camp at the beginning of this process just to kind of assess where you are. But we're gonna be there for you. Your financial experts are going to be there for you. Your coach is going to be there, and we're going to show you how to do what you heard over and over again in the videos. Learn how to run your business by the numbers. We're going to teach you how to manage your people, recruit people, put policy in place, how to go after financing, conventional financing, non-conventional financing, the whole kit and caboodle to give you all of the tools that you need to take your business to the next level. And all that's going to be left to do is for you to implement. The tools work, and they work across the board, across industries. They are the things that have been tested, tried, and proven. If you will come with your A game, I promise you, you'll hit that 37. Somebody might even hit that 1,000% growth. That just might be you. I think it's one more slide for me, Nika.
I think that's it.
Is that it? All right. So y'all can see I'm kind of hyped about it. This energy you see, it doesn't go away. So, you know, if we're going to have morning classes, you need to have your coffee because we're going to be ready to go. And I promise you, you're going to discover that there is a CEO in there that's ready to grow your business. Thanks, Nikki.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Wendell. So I can tell you that one of the greatest assets of this program is our instructor. And so I am thrilled that he continues to be enthused about serving as our instructor in the upstate and now for the entire state of South Carolina. Our program administration team is actually comprised of 3 primary individuals, myself as program administrator, Wendell as our instructor, and then Beth Veach, who oversees the incredibly important aspects of MBA, which entail helping to recruit and prepare and manage the coaching relationships of the coaching aspect of the program, as well as those financial experts that come alongside the program, helping our participants to make sure they're well-grounded in the finance piece. And so with that in mind, I'm now going to turn it over to Beth Veach, who is going to take us through some additional information relevant to the coaching aspect of the program. Thank you so much, Beth.
Thanks, Nika. So I hope that all of you are getting that true and genuine picture of how your entrepreneurial circle will grow as you become part of this program. And as we all know, you know, being a business owner, being an entrepreneur can really be lonely at times. I love all the W-2 people in my life that love and care about me as I do them. But guess what? They just don't understand the number of hours that I'm willing to commit, the times that I back away from what prior to being an entrepreneur, I'd be jumping in all 4s. So this is one of the huge, I think, benefits of the program and the way Interrise has constructed the program. So here in Greenville, we have 2 additional layers of support in that every participant in the program is assigned a coach and a financial expert. To give you an idea of who these people are, they come out of our business community. 80% of our coaches typically every year are business owners themselves. They're people who maybe are just a little bit further in the evolution of their business than you are. And to a person, they want to give back. They've been in your shoes. They know how much grit and perseverance it takes to grow a business. They want to help you. Another 20% of our coaches are people who work in a capacity to serve businesses, business owners. So we've, got people like attorneys, and we have bankers, SBDC counselors. Thank you very much, Earl. And those people also willing to serve as coaches. Our financial experts are typically people who are CPAs, as Talina mentioned she was, CFOs of current organizations, or entrepreneurs with a really strong financial understanding who want to help you. So every single one of you will be assigned one of each of these people. Matches are made by industry. So you've heard the Enterprise folks, as well as Wendell just mentioning that anyone who comes into the Enterprise curriculum will learn from it. We don't all have to be in the same industry to grow that 37, somewhere in the 37 to 1,000% range. And that's how it is when we match coaches to our participants. We're not looking for someone in your industry. Here's what we're looking for. And I'd love for you to give this some thought before you come in for your interview if you apply. And it's this. Nika, Wendell, and I are going to ask you, what are the 2 or 3 areas of your business that you're most challenged by? Now, this will be my 6th year of being part of this program. I can only think of one person who in the interview process did not say, number 1, understanding my financials and the financial health of my company. So our coaches, so you identify 2 or 3 areas of that you'd really like to grow in. We also ask our coaches, if you were to help an entrepreneur, what are the 2 or 3 areas that you think you could add most value? So that's how we make the matches of participant to coach. And that's why I'd really like you to be thinking about what are those areas that you in particular struggle with. The role of your coach throughout the year is one of really helping you staying grounded in the fact that you are running a very busy business while also taking on this huge commitment to growing and learning. And so the coach is someone who's going to help you stay grounded in what you're learning and basically talk to you every month. And that's when you'll meet with them at least once a month. They'll be talking to you about how are you applying what you're currently learning in the program to the current operations of your business. And then the second question they're going to challenge you with is how does what you're learning inform the 3-year strategic growth action plan that the Enterprise curriculum is helping you develop? Now that's a little bit different from our financial experts. Those folks are helping you really begin to learn how to read your P&L and balance sheet. And they do that so that you can truly understand the financial health of your company and actually use your financials to make better decisions of when and how to spend money or if to spend money. And you will meet with each of these people one time a month. So Nick asked me to also speak about the CEO peer mentoring groups. Enterprise is a wonderful curriculum where you sit in class and learn as a group. And so you get to know all the other people in the cohort. But then Enterprise also suggests that we break you down into smaller CEO peer mentoring groups. And so this is a group of 4 or 5 business owners where you have the opportunity to learn more intimately about their business as they will learn about your business. You will meet as a group once a month. And the way we're doing it by Zoom is pretty darn effective, I'd say, in that for the first couple of hours, we break you into your individual CEO peer mentoring groups. Each one of you will be presenting the prep work based on the Enterprise curriculum. And then in turn, you're going to be providing feedback to your cohort members about what you think of their prep work and ideas and suggestions. It's just yet again another supportive environment for you to receive and provide support to someone else. We do that the first 2 hours of the meeting, and then the third hour goes back to something Nika mentioned, where we're bringing in subject matter experts from our business community to share their knowledge. So again, this is yet another way for you to expand the circle of entrepreneurs in your life and to learn from them. And some of the subject matter experts that we have brought in talk on topics like sales, marketing, HR needs, goal setting, time management, networking. And what I have found in Greenville, and I'm sure Charleston and Columbia will too, is that entrepreneurs want to help other entrepreneurs. And so this is, again, the kind of support that you will receive in this program. And I'm going to stop there. Nick and Wendell, anything that I missed?
Beth, I think you did a beautiful job. There are a couple additional points I would like to just emphasize, because I think it's also really a valuable part of the MBA experience. And that is that each of the coaches also convene monthly on their own. And the purpose of that convening is for them to share best practices. Here's what I'm coming up against. And I share that with this broader group of those who are interested in the MBA program and the feeder program, because what makes that unique to this experience is that in essence, while you are assigned to one primary coach, you also have the benefit of the brain power of all of those other business leaders and individuals who are really also vested in seeing each of the cohort members be successful. So there's a lot of cross-pollination that occurs within the monthly gatherings of just the coaches. The other thing that I will share is some of you could be perhaps thinking, you know what, I like this idea of having a coach or a mentor, but maybe that's a little intimidating to me because I don't know exactly how to be a good mentee. What does that look like, or to be a good coachee? And so don't worry. We definitely realize that that's something that not all of us may have had an experience in before. So we put a lot of effort into ensuring that there's some structure and parameters and guidance around how to lean into those relationships so that you can get the most out of them, including a pretty half-day robust, coach one-on-one training where we bring all the parties together. And then the last thing that I'll share is that so far, hopefully you've been able to pick up on the fact that myself, Wendell, and Beth, not only are we people that are a part of the program administration team for MBA and really vested in seeing the success of business owners, but we're business owners ourselves. And so I think that carries a lot of weight because we are in your shoes. We know the seat that you're in. We know the complexities and the weight of entrepreneurship. And we bring that lens to how in which we serve in this capacity. So that would be what I would add. Wendell, I want to give you a chance. Is there anything that maybe Beth and I have not touched on that you want to add to the conversation before we move on to the next component?
No, Nick, I think you guys covered it quite well.
Awesome. Okay, fantastic. So thank you so much, Beth. Really appreciate your 6 years of service and commitment to this program, and looking forward to another great year of collaboration in 2022. So what I want to do now is move us on to the next component. And you've heard us reference a couple different times today that there's also a feeder program to MBA. What we realized a few years ago as we were continuing to recruit is that we needed to have a strong pipeline. we know that not everybody is at a place within their business growth where the MBA program is an ideal situation for them to go to the next level. And so with that in mind, we partnered with South Carolina SBDC, who was gracious enough to come alongside us and to develop a separate program that is in essence a feeder to MBA, but it takes those organizations that may not quite yet be ready for an MBA experience, and it gets them further along in their growth with the hope that at some point in time, they will be positioned to go back and apply for MBA and be accepted. And we have seen this program now work quite successfully. We have actually 2 members of this year's cohort that are products of the feeder program and will be graduating on December 9th. And so this has been a very important aspect of this entire ecosystem and offering. So here today to talk more in depth about the feeder program, again, which is labeled Entrepreneurial Pathways, is Earl Gregoridge. And so I'm going to invite him now to unmute himself. And I'm going to find you. There you are, so I can pin you. And he's going to take us through the information regarding this program. Thanks so much, Earl.
Thanks, Nika. I appreciate that intro. And I tell you, you could feel the energy in the Zoom room when people were introducing themselves, and that's a hard thing to pull off. So congratulations, all of you, for conveying that energy and that interest that you have in the program. So I want to start out by just saying, look, you can't ask for a better program to develop your business. So whether MBA, entrepreneurial pathways, this is really that one thing you can do to really move the business forward. Accelerator, that's what it implies, right? Moving something forward, speeding something up, improving it. And in order to do that, you already have to be moving to some degree. And that's what Entrepreneurial Pathways is here to do, is to take a business, get it already moving. So when it hits MBA, it is ready to accelerate. So let's talk a little bit about the SBDC and our involvement with that program. This is an SBDC program. As Nika said, we found great interest in the MBA program. We came together, we decided, look, we've got some of the tools and the programming available that can really make this work. And you see some of the bullet points there on the topics that we see day in and day out that when we're working with businesses that they need most. And all of our consultants are set up and very well equipped to provide this information, whether it's through one-on-one consulting or through training classes. So it just made sense for us to come alongside and help prepare folks to get into the MBA program. As you also see there, we, like the MBA program, are expanding the Entrepreneurial Pathways program to match and synchronize into the Columbia and Charleston market. And Monique Priester, who introduced herself earlier as part of that program, Sandra Metzdorf is also part of that program. So welcome everybody that's tuning in from outside of Greenville. We very much appreciate that. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. So for those of you who are not familiar a whole lot with what the SBDC is and what we do, this is a group of folks who have also been entrepreneurs or been involved in the entrepreneurial ecosystem at some point in their life. I myself have owned 3 businesses of my own, still have a business on the side. So we've been there, done that. We feel your pain. We wrestle with the regulations that you wrestle with. We get it. We have a wide range of resources. We also have a very wide range of skill sets. There are 50 consultants, just like myself, out and about in the state of South Carolina, some of which are coaches in the MBA program. And we have varying degrees of expertise in all industries. So I tell people all the time, we're the best first phone call you can make because we don't cost you anything and we're well connected and we've been down this path before. You can see some of the items there that we cover on a regular basis. That's just through our daily operations. And one thing I want to emphasize, you've heard to this point that, you know, there's value not only in the program, but with the people you meet and the support that you are putting together for your business. The SBDC really looks to bookend this program. We are the feeder program for MBA, but we are also working with a lot of the folks who have graduated MBA. We want you to work with your cohort within an MBA. We want you to also work with the SBDC consultants after the fact. You're going to have relationships with your coaches within our organization. You're going to be referred to other coaches, other consultants within SBDC throughout this program. And we highly, highly encourage that. It was great to see that video and see faces that we know, companies that we're continuing to work with that have been in past MBA programs. And, you know, I meant it sincerely. It's very humbling for a person such as myself to be entrusted with just a small piece of your dream to help you to take the next steps with it. So with that, let's jump into what the actual content is on the Entrepreneurial Pathways program. So we break ours out into 10 sessions, and it doesn't go the entire year. We give you a little bit of breathing room between the end of Entrepreneurial Pathways and the application for the next MBA cohort. But don't mistake the fact that this is an intensive program. We do meet every other week. You can get an idea of some of the topics that we're going to cover in this program by what you're seeing here on the slide. First thing we typically do is we benchmark the business. We make sure that you have all the proper underpinnings. You know, a lot of people jump into business and they hit the ground running, and maybe they missed a step here, or maybe they didn't quite get the entity set up quite right, or that partnership agreement thing, yeah, we didn't do that yet. Those are the kinds of things we want to make sure get taken care of. So we benchmark the business first, make sure we got all that squared away. And then we jump into that business finance. You know, if you haven't heard it to this point enough, you will hear it some more in Entrepreneurial Pathways. It's all about numbers. But what I want to stress is numbers are not scary. They really aren't. And that's one of the things that we really focus on, is the fact that you can do this. Most people who avoid the numbers are doing it because they haven't had any exposure. They have developed a fear of the numbers because they don't feel they have the knowledge needed to understand them. And that's fine. You know what? Many of us were there. And all of our materials within Entrepreneurial Pathways are meant to get you to a point where you're more comfortable with the numbers. We don't speak CPA. We don't get all techie with you. We just simply introduce you to what you need to know so you can take the next steps. So that's really where we start off the program after benchmarking the business. The next things we move into are some things that you need to basically build upon those first two classes. If you're going to accelerate a business, if you're going to grow a business, chances are you're going to need funding. So the next two sessions are spent. How do I address that? What kind of funding do I need? How much do I need? How do I go about that? How do I prepare to face a lender? We have, in our last cohort, we had an individual who approached investors, ended up getting an investment in their business through some of the pitch deck coaching that we used in our class. So all that preparatory work and getting the business basically on a firm enough foundation that it can actually ask for funding, we cover that here in the funding section. The next one, marketing, sales, and public relations. It's always within the top three things that are asked of the SBDC consultants. How do I improve my marketing? How do I increase my revenues? This section focuses on that. So we're going to, again, benchmark where you are. What is it you're doing now? What's working? What's not? What are some creative things that we might be able to do, whether it's online, traditional sales, whatever it may be. We cover that in that session. And then we close out with basically electives. You have the ability to select based on what you have learned through Entrepreneurial Pathways that might be your weak points. You can now select two additional programs that you can sit down and get some more in-depth, more detailed training in. So if you identified, say in the marketing session, that your website is not performing as it should, and that's something that you want to spend some more time on, that happens to be one of the elective programs here that you can select, and you will spend hands-on time improving that website. And you see some of the other there, QuickBooks, market analysis. We have a team that will do market analysis alongside you and help you to get a better understanding of who you're selling to. But that's where we close that out, and we very much look forward to speaking to anyone and everyone who has interest in entrepreneurial pathways. But I mean, honestly, I hope every single person that applies ends up in MBA. That's really where it is with me, but certainly very, very happy to take anybody and everybody who is interested in the Entrepreneurial Pathways program. You see again the outline of the sessions, when it's going to start. We are going to be primarily doing Zoom classes to, again, be in line with the MBA program in all 3 of our locations. And you see my contact information there. Please, by all means, reach out by phone or email. The scsbdc.com/EP is our specific page set up for Entrepreneurial Pathways. If you have questions, you might find the details there, but please do reach out if you have questions for me on Entrepreneurial Pathways. With that, I will pass it back to Nika. I hope I covered everything. Nika, if I missed something, let me know.
No, Greg, you did an incredible job. And again, we continue to be grateful for the partnership with the South Carolina SBDC. I'll just add on that there are also many opportunities throughout the year where we are providing that cross-pollination. So if you are selected for the MBA program and you're part of that cohort, and then if you're also selected for Entrepreneurial Pathways, then there's some times throughout the year where we'll bring all of those parties together. For example, Beth had mentioned when she was sharing that there are times where we will bring in subject matter experts to share out different content areas that's relevant to business leaders. And those sessions sometimes are available and open to also those who are part of the Entrepreneurial Pathways. And so we find this, again, just as a way to just broaden the network and provide opportunities for community building where needed. And so thank you, Greg, Earl, so much for sharing this information with us. Now, what I want to do is just move us to discussing a little bit more about the application process. And so many of you have probably already seen the application. It is available. It's on our website. The deadline to actually get that application in is November 12th by 5 p.m. We do stay pretty closely aligned with that deadline because we have dates that are informed by being able to get the selection process in place pretty quickly. And so as we think about eligibility preferences, we use that language very intentionally because while there are certain qualifications that we would like to see our applicants have for the MBA program, we also realize that it's relevant to the application pool. And so in that regard, I'll share with you some of those preferences, but I encourage you to just make sure you're mindful that when you apply for MBA, you are automatically applying for both MBA and the feeder program. So you can't lose. Either we will say, yes, you are eligible and you're qualified and you are invited to be a part of the MBA cohort for 2022, or we are recommending that you start with the feeder program, which again is that Entrepreneurial Pathways. And so everyone wins, right? I like that about this. Everyone wins. And that's important because pipeline is important. So let's address some of the eligibility preferences. We want you to have been in business for at least a minimum of 3 years. That's important to us. We also want to see your financials. We do ask that you provide your past 3-year financials as part of the process. And so you'll see that in the application. We want you to make sure that you're making those available to us before that interview period. This not only allows us to know that you have been in business for 3 years, but it also allows us to see where you are from a revenue perspective. And from a threshold revenue, we like to see anywhere between $250K per year in revenue, and it goes all the way up to 10 million. That is a really, really broad range, but that's intentional because, again, as I said before, there's a lot of different business owners that are in this area that may qualify. And so where you are within that business life cycle and what industry you're in, what product and service offerings, it really can make a difference in terms of what the revenue potential may be. And so it is pretty broad, very intentionally. We also often say that we want to have organizations where it's not just one employee. If you are the CEO, the CFO, the CMO, and all of the roles, it's going to be really, really hard unless you have some other type of strategy to pull away to be fully engaged in this program. But having said that, again, the reason we label it as preferences is because we have also had some solopreneurs that have been in our program, and they've met, many of the other qualifications, and their business model was, I want to be a solopreneur, but I do contract a number of other consultant partners and 1099s to help facilitate the work that I do. And so that is very circumstantial until we do consider those details as well. And you have to be a business that is located within any of the counties within the upstate of South Carolina, the 10 counties in the upstate of South Carolina. And that, again, is if you are applying for the upstate program. That's important to us because this is a statewide initiative, and we want to make sure that as we are executing the program, we can be able to have local impact directly from those businesses that are being served through the MBA ecosystem. And so one of the other qualifications is that this is Minority Business Accelerator program. And when we say minority, we're specifically talking about women-owned businesses, ethnic minority-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, and even businesses that operate in low to moderate income communities, because that helps to build up those local economies. And so if you fit that category, you have questions as to whether or not that is applicable to you, come see us. There's a formula in which we can figure that out along with you. And so also make sure that you are aware of again, who this program is intended to serve. Outside of that, we just want you to make sure that you're able to commit the time to the program. What you put into it is what you get out of it. And we really have a strong structure where we reinforce all of the mandates and the requirements, such as attendance and things of that nature. And it is because we have a lot of people that have invested and continue year after year to invest their time, their talents, many of which in volunteer capacities to this program. And so that's why we're very selective about who we say yes to, because we want to make sure that all of those who are giving their time, their talents, the investment of dollars from Bank of America and all of our other corporate investors is able to really realize a return. And part of that return is seeing your business be successful, seeing you grow and thrive, see you create jobs and be able to contribute to the local economy. So that is why the eligibility preferences and participation requirements are in place. So once you submit your application, again, due by November the 12th, there is an internal selection process where the program administration team will look intently through all of your applications, and we will schedule interviews. And in those interviews, we are asking some very deliberate questions to understand, again, what is your mental model around such a program or initiative? And we also are interested in what do you feel like you can contribute to the program as well. We think that part of the learning has a lot to do with those who are willing to lean into their vulnerabilities, be transparent, be willing to share. We realize that sometimes it can be a little bit intimidating, especially when you feel like maybe you're the only person and your challenges are unique to you, but I guarantee you, you're not going to find that that's the case. You're going to find that you're going to be in the company of others that are like-minded and are experiencing maybe similar challenges, and you can support and help each other. We do have a very strong policy in place around confidentiality. We all sign non-disclosure agreements. And so this is really to help you to understand that there's a lot of thought and preparation that goes into making sure people can feel comfortable and safe and brave to show up as their best selves while we all are looking to learn with and from each other. And then from an investment perspective, there was a time to where, especially when we first launched this program, we didn't charge anything for it. And then once we knew that we were able to get some stats and we started seeing the results and the success stories, we realized there's value assigned to this. And also we recognize that the best practice of, if you're going to do something of this magnitude, it's important for those who are going to be a part of it to also have skin in the game, because that's going to keep them motivated. That's going to keep them engaged. And so we ended up establishing a fee, a very nominal fee of $500 to be in the program. We also do require that you are a member of the Greenville Chamber. And so at the time of your application, you don't necessarily have to be a member, but if you are selected for the program, that is a requirement as well. And so I think that early on, you may recall hearing from Amy Albert, and we also have Elvia Pacheco, that are investor relations individuals with the Greenville Chamber. They can be resources to help you understand what that pathway looks like for becoming a member. But so those are the main requirements and expectations from an investment perspective that we require. I'll share that the value of the program is, minimum $15K, probably upward from there per participant. We know that because just the portion of the curriculum that's available through our partnership with Interrise, they have a formula in which they've placed a price tag of $10,000 as the value. But again, as you've heard throughout today, there's some additional components that we have added on to the program to extend it to 12 months, such as the coaches and then the financial experts. And so all of those components together, we know that the value of the program is at minimum at least $15K per person. But again, our goal here is to not make money off of this. Our goal here is to be able to let this serve as a catalyst for economic inclusion and building the minority entrepreneurial community throughout the state of South Carolina. So those are the, again, just a little bit about the application process. Here's the application process timeline. So one of the things that we have found to be really helpful as we are doing the recruitment process is we want to be as upfront as possible with all of the details. We want to give you the dates. We want you to know exactly what is going to be expected of you, because we want you to be well informed as you make the decision whether or not to apply. Every year we say to the individuals that get selected that someone wanted your spot and was not selected. So if you are not fully committed to doing your part to bring to this experience what you want to get out of it, then just know that there's someone else who is sitting on the sidelines, perhaps wishing they were in your place. And we carry that burden in a way that it makes us really become dedicated to ensuring you are well informed and that we are very communicative with you, so that again, there's no questions left unanswered. So the application deadline, as I mentioned, is November 12th. Finalist interviews will be on December the 2nd and the 3rd. So if you already know just from this conversation that you're going to apply, make sure that you have those dates available, where you can be agile and flexible with us. We make the selection notifications on December 6th. And then December 9th is the 2021 MBA cohort graduation. We use that as a time not only to celebrate the culmination of the cohort experience for the current year, but we also use that as a time to announce the next year's cohort. And it's just a really great time for you to have even a deeper dive experience of what it's like to get to the end. Not the end of the full experience, but the end of being a part of that year's cohort. And I say that because, again, there's a lot of additional engagement that happens thereafter. December 31st is when we will ask that your business assessment be completed. We use that information to help do the pairing for the coach and the participants. And so that's really important. It's also a way for us to, at the start of the program, to have a really good sense of your business, where you are, what your growth goals are. December 31st is also when the MBA fee, the $500 fee, is due, and your membership should be secured if you're not already a member, and all of your paperwork is due back to us. Kickoff is January 5th, and we call that kind of session 0. And then we also have the MBA financial workshop on January 7th. That is something that we have incorporated into the program after learning, after a few years of offering MBA, that the financial piece is so critical that even before we get to the financial module of the Enterprise curriculum, we need to make sure that everybody is aligned around at least some of the foundational basics. And so that's what that session is for. So I know we have shared a lot of information today. I think we may be at the end of our slides. Yeah, we're actually at the Q&A portion. So I'm going to actually stop sharing my screen at this time because I want to see faces. And the remaining time that we have left is really just in conversation with each of you. I want you to follow your curiosities. We want to answer your questions. We want to make sure that we clarify anything that may not have been completely explained at a level that you feel comfortable with. And then make sure that you all are well equipped to take the next steps, which we hope will be to submit your application so that we can get you either in the Entrepreneurial Pathways program or in MBA. And I'm going to invite all of my colleagues as part of the MBA administration team, as well as Earl, for any questions that may be directly related to the programs that we've talked about today. So just feel free to unmute yourself and share, or maybe you can use the raise hand feature. What are your questions?
I think I heard from one of the presenters, again, this is Walter Lee. I heard from one of the presenters about the frequency of meetings. I think I heard every other week. Has a day been defined just yet so that we can begin looking and assessing whether or not our availabilities are aligned with the expectations?
I love that question, Dr. Walter. And so I'll give you a little bit of additional insight into the schedule for the MBA program, because I don't think outside of just saying it's 12 months, I don't think that we have with specificity really talked about that. But the other thing that I want you to know is that after today, everyone that registered for the interest meeting is going to receive a copy of the slide deck. You will receive the application, we'll attach it. We will also give you the Entrepreneurial Pathway flyer, which has all the information that, of course, was shared today during Earl Gregorich session or portion. And you will also receive the 2022 master calendar for MBA. And that's going to give you all of the dates of the convenings. And we do that intentionally because, yes, it's important for people to be able to protect those dates and times on their calendar. So we often like to make sure we make that available in advance. So now I'll go back and I'll address the first thing that I mentioned. If you consider the program being 12 months, the first 6 to 7 months is mostly focused on delivery of the Enterprise curriculum. And so the classes or the cohort will be meeting every 2 to 3 weeks for half days, usually from like 9 to 12. And in those class sessions, that's where you are going through, again, the curriculum materials. You've heard Bernard and others mention Enterprise Connect. The program is kind of housed within that online platform. And so you'll learn all about that, but that's the way we communicate with each other. That's how in which you may submit information. That's where you're going to get class announcements. So the kickoff will certainly provide a good overview of how to use that tool and what's available through that tool. Outside of the half-day class sessions that are taking place for the first 6 to 7 months, every 2 to 3 weeks, you're also meeting monthly for your CEO peer mentoring groups. And so again, that's another half-day session that occurs. And that's where you are just, any type of content that's related to the CEO peer mentoring aspects of the program, you're meeting with your smaller groups and you all are collaborating on that. And then we also, on those days, bring in a subject matter expert to address content around other areas that are relevant and of interest to business owners. You're meeting one-on-one with your coach and your financial expert also once a week, not once a week, once a month. And we have a reporting structure in place to make sure from accountability perspective that that is taking place. And so we do track that that's part of your attendance record as well, is meeting with your coach. There's multiple reasons for that. One of which is because those coaches are volunteers, those financial experts are volunteers. And so we want to make sure that their time is well spent. And part of that requires our participants to really lean in and be available for those convenings and those meetings. And it helps them, really helps those participants, of course, when you have someone walking shoulder to shoulder with you along the way. And I think those are all of the primary requirements for the meeting times. That's the first 6 or 7 months of the year. I will say that when we do the SGAT presentations, depending upon the size of the cohort, it may extend to 2 days, and those are usually 2 full days. And it's where, each of your cohort members are presenting their SGAT plans. And so there's 15 minutes of presentation and 15 minutes of Q&A. And so those can end up being really long days, but those are class days. We are taking attendance on those days. It's important for everyone to be supportive of each other while they're reaching that really significant milestone. And plus, we invite a number of business leaders, advisors, and procurement leaders that are always interested in hearing about our cohort members and their product and service offerings. So once the curriculum portion has completed, the second half of the year, primarily what you're doing is still meeting once a month, but you're meeting once a month more so to address what's happening with your strategic growth action plans. It's really just sharing out updates regarding the SGAT process. And we do continue to, during those convenings, to also bring in, again, those subject matter experts to cover different topics. You will continue meeting with your coaching or financial expert the second half of the year as well. And so I'm going to pause here to make sure that I'm addressing the time commitment. And so Beth and Wendell, what else would you add to that? There's a lot of out of class work as well. So I know one of the questions would be, how much time am I spending outside of class? And so Wendell, do you want to maybe step in and address that?
Absolutely. Again, guys, really to sum it up, is you're going to put into it what you're going to get out of it. I think on average, our guys were saying they were putting in probably about 2 hours a day, really just to really gather the information, really understand the information. But also that includes that may be extended when you begin to meet with your coaches, and when you develop relationships with your peers, you guys are going to begin to meet. So it can take up a good bit of your time, but the beautiful thing about it is it's not wasted time. You will absolutely reap the benefits from it. So plan for the first 6 months to really allocate a good amount of time to this, but it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it.
It's like any other group that you've been involved in. So you count on the others to come prepared so that they can really help you. And in turn, they count on you to come prepared. And so it's kind of a self-imposed pressure that ends up working for everyone. You're truly accountability partners to one another.
Mm-hmm. We know that things happen. So you do have up to 2 excused absences, and, we do record the sessions. And so for those that are not available to join live, you can stay connected, which is really important as well. You're also going to want to leverage your fellow peers within your CEO peer mentoring group. We find that buddy system also can be really good for helping people when they have to be away. And I mentioned virtual or recording because for 2022, we have made the decision for the program to be offered in a virtual capacity. There may be some of those upfront, more foundational sessions like the kickoff and maybe like the boot camp that may take place in person. We're still working through those details. But for the majority of the year, the half-day sessions, the CEO peer mentoring groups, those will be in a virtual capacity through Zoom. Okay. Well, thank you all again so much for your time, for your interest. We look forward to being a resource now until the deadline, of course, even beyond that. But again, it gives me a chance just to emphasize the deadline of November 12th for you to get your applications in. And happy to answer any questions beyond today if they come up. I will put my email into the chat, and you will also receive, again, from me today, a follow-up email with the recording as well as with some of the other assets and materials that I've referenced in today's conversation. So really looking forward to getting some great applicants in, and we just appreciate your interest. If you know of others that did not join today, you don't, it's not at all required that you had to attend the interest meeting in order to apply. And so feel free to share the information out with others that you may be aware of that could be interested. Okay. Well, with that said, we are officially adjourned. Thank you all so much. Bye-bye. Enjoy your weekend.
Great job.